Thank you, Ally. That was the best talk on Hong Kong I've ever heard.
Oh.
Of course, it might be the only talk on Hong Kong, but that was terrific. Thank you so much. That was really wonderful. Are there any questions?
I always thought about like the triple time thing is super interesting because like I always thought about like eliminating like thoughts of the past and the future.
Okay, so I have to say so people can hear. So the triple time thing is really interesting.
Yeah.
You think of the past, present, future.
Right. But mostly thought about when you're meditating being as absorbed in the present as possible.
And when you're meditating, being absorbed in the present as much as possible.
Right. And I was thinking like that's eliminating like the past and the future, but being as present as possible, but thinking about.
And that's eliminating the past and the future.
Being like having the present have obstacles to that. It's super interesting.
And that it's interesting that the present can have obstacles too. Would you? Is that what your question is?
Yeah, I'm assuming that's like if you're wanting to scratch a itch or if there's noise or is that kind of along the lines of what that would be.
So what does it mean for the present to be an obstacle? What does it mean to relinquish the present as well as the past and the future? I think Ellie said it very well. I don't remember her exact words, but it was about not trying to control your thinking about it, not, making up a shopping list, which is actually a sort of future thing, but also not like you're chanting. Okay, we're all chanting together, and you're not going, oh, that's beautiful chanting. Oh, that person can't carry a tune. You're not doing that. You're just chanting. So that's relinquishment of the present, means relinquishment of the labels, the things that come between us and what's actually happening. So yeah, I love that phrase, relinquishment of triple time.
Yeah.
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to have to find that and stick it up on Facebook or something, on the Zen Center Facebook page. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Could you share what you do or what you would recommend doing if you're trying to move from a center, like right action or just doing, knowing, but you don't feel like you know, or like there has to be something that to be done? But
So the question is, what do we do when we don't know what to do? Is that your question? Yeah. So that's actually the fundamental question. I was talking to somebody, I can't forget who, somebody who doesn't practice, and they asked what kind of questions do people ask. And I said, well, there's really one fundamental question. And that question is, what do we do in our lives? And that's your question. What do we do when we don't know what to do? I don't know. Okay. So, but that, take out the I. So, this, we talk here a lot about don't know and don't know mind. So what that means is being able to remove yourself from your story and remove yourself from your desires and remove yourself from your anger and your ignorance, what you're attracted to, what you're not attracted to. Remove yourself from all that and see how things actually are. And just enter into that without labeling. Just really see. And when I speak that way, it sounds like it's a very long process that you have to kind of sink in. But a lot of the times it's just automatic. Your kid cries in the middle of the night. Maybe she's too old to do that now, but no. Okay. Soon she will be, but your kid cries in the middle of the night. You don't have to sink into your don't know mind to know that you need to get out of bed and help her. Maybe you and Todd poke each other and say, your turn, no, your turn. But somebody's got to get out of bed and help her, right? So it can be very instantaneous. But yeah, a lot of times it's not instantaneous. Maybe, you have a baby and they can't speak and they're crying in the middle of the night and you get up and what happens? Okay, you have to check their diaper. You have to see if they're hungry. You have to see if they hurt themselves somehow, you know? There are all these things you have to kind of check, right? Everybody checks the diaper first, right? So, yeah. So sometimes there's like a checklist to run through, but a lot of times there's not even that. So what do? You have to take yourself out. You have to see the situation for what it is without your story, even if it's about yourself. Like you have some medical diagnosis, what are you supposed to do? You have to take away your attachment to your idea of who you are, and your attachment to your idea of who the other people are, and your attachment to the idea of what the situation is. You have to somehow step out of your story and see things clearly. And it's really, really hard, because our story, our self-conception, our conception of other, our conception of the situation, these things, they just come up and they come up and they come up and they come up. And as Ellie said, much of our practice is recognizing that and relinquishing it, seeing through it, not trying to push it down, because you can't. You try to push it down, it'll just pop right up again. But just seeing through it. And it's not easy, because we're programmed to believe in our story. And it's our story that causes our problems. So yeah, so you've asked the question, and the answer is very unsatisfactory, because I can't tell you do this, 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 this. I can't give you a checklist. I can't tell you what page the answers are in the back of the book. But we have to find, our center. And we have to find our clear mind, and we have to find our open heart. And this attitude of don't know, this what is this? We have to find that ourselves. No one can find it for us. So thank you very much for your question. Are there any other questions? Yes?
So I was thinking, as you were talking about stories, and it seems, if I think about myself, it seems like I make up more stories about other people than I do myself.
Okay, so you make up more stories about other people than yourself.
At least that's what.
At least that's what you think you do.
But if I'm making up a story about Allie, for instance, and all of these things about who Allie is that really about me? Is that really about my own story?
So if you make up a story about Allie, is that really about you? Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the story that we make up about everybody is in large part about ourselves, because it's our relationship, our approval or our disapproval. Whether we feel that we're friends or whether we feel we're not friends, whether we feel that they don't like us, whether we feel that they like us, And it's also our projection onto them. We all, whenever we label somebody in any way, it's guaranteed it's a projection of who we are. Just guaranteed. So how do you cut through that? Okay? Yeah.
So how?
Good question. It takes effort. This practice is non-trivial. This practice is not about blissing out and feeling so good. That's not what it's about. It's about facing all the stuff that comes between us and this world as it actually is, and finding our place in the world. Finding what our job is. And it's really non-trivial, and it's beyond labels. If you say, my job is to do this, then I mean, of course, you get paid for things and, everything like that, but, and we have sort of volunteer jobs that we take on, like I'm giving this talk, Allie gave a talk, but, your true job, what my teacher called it, your true job, finding that. And it's before speech, it's before thinking. So you can't write it down, Like Allie wrote down these wonderful quotes from Huang Po, but you can't write this down. Everyone has to find it themselves. You have to do it yourself. No one can do it for you. It's really important. And this is a place that encourages you to do that, because most of the world does not encourage you to do that. Most of the world wants you to sort of enter into their narrative, whatever narrative that is. Whether it's MAGA, or whether it's left-wing, or whether it's, whatever particular nationality, or, whatever narrative it is. Everyone wants you to enter into their narrative. And the thing is to see through those narratives and be able to use them to help others. We can't do without narratives. We'll always have a narrative. But to see the contingency of that narrative, that that's not your true nature. And then to use whatever your situation is, and situation automatically means narrative, like I'm sitting on a chair, you're sitting on a cushion. There's a narrative already, right? But to use that in a way that can help. That's our job. Yeah. There's no algorithm for it. So, thank you for your question. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you.